Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with Untitled TV, man. Back at another video. Like the content of the video, go smash that like button. Like the content of this channel, go subscribe, man. Look, so we'll talk about the injury report a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about the Ravens and possibly bringing Davante Adams to Baltimore, right? The likelihood, doesn't make sense, all that kind of things, right? All right, but injury report. Rasheen Ali, who's been on IR the first couple weeks of the season, he actually practiced today in a limited capacity. All right. Arthur Marlette, who was on IR as well, he returned to practice yesterday, but maybe he came back too fast. I'm not sure because now he has a hamstring diagnosis or designation, I should say, along with his knee. He did not practice today after being limited yesterday, so we'll keep an eye on that. Michael Pierce, who was out last week, has been a full participant both days of practice this week, and Andrew Voorhees, who obviously missed the game versus Buffalo, has been limited both days this week. So we'll see how much he practices and will he get his starting spot back when they leave it to Patrick McCurry and roll out the same starting five that did a very, very good job versus Buffalo, right? So that's where the Ravens injury report stands. I would love to see a guy like Arthur Marlette be able to come back and play. He's been one of those guys that he gives their all every time they're out there, right? And he was a really, really good player for the Ravens last year, right? So Ravens secondary starting to pick it up, and adding Arthur Marlette could only help the team, right? So hopefully it's not too bad for him, okay? All right. Now, Davante Adams, right? That's kind of the big news, right? And the reason the Ravens are involved is because there was a list of teams that came out. You had, the Jets on there, Steelers, this and that, different kind of teams, right? Several teams were listed that either have already inquired about Davante Adams or Davante Adams expressed that he wouldn't mind playing for that team, right? Excuse me. So the Ravens came up on that list, okay? The Ravens came up on that list. I believe this is probably more the lines of a team that he wouldn't mind playing for, right? Because we got to think back to Davante Adams' comments, right? He called Lamar Jackson the greatest ball handler he's ever seen. Running back, quarterback, doesn't matter, right? Regardless of position, the greatest ball handler he's ever seen, right? And I saw another video where they asked him about, well, would you rather have, I think 1,000+ yards but not win a ring, or would you rather have 850 and win a championship, right? With Lamar or whatever, right? So he said he'd rather do the 850 and win a championship with Lamar. Okay, so I saw those comments as well, right? So Davante Adams is obviously a real admirer of Lamar Jackson, right? Which is not something that's shocking, right? A lot of players around the league are, way fans from other teams talk about Lamar Jackson is not the way that opposing players talk about him, right? So we already know that, right? But from the Ravens standpoint, right, Davante Adams, from an age profile, it makes sense, okay? Davante Adams is now, he's 31 years old. He'll turn 32 in December, right? So he'll be 32 years old in December. So from an age profile, as bad as it sounds, it's the kind of guy the Ravens do go after, right? Now the thing that's going to be the holdup is obviously salary cap, right? So Davante Adams has a massive salary cap, massive cap hit left on his contract, right? But are those things that will stop the Ravens? I don't know, maybe, right? But for me, I don't even want to talk about the financial aspect of it, right? Because there's a million reasons why you can make things work, not work, but will he fit with the Ravens and what they need, right? Now, the Ravens have kind of been clamoring for that outside guy, true X receiver, right? That a lot of people like to throw around, right? Now, for this team, I think that the passing game will come together, okay? That's actually been one of my concerns early on in the year is that, they haven't really given a lot of reps to the passing game, right? Now, listen, if the running game is working, we're not going to go away from that just because, you want to see Lamar throw the ball a little bit more, right? But the last couple of weeks, he's been under 20 pass attempts, right? So that's just not a lot of opportunities for, the wide receivers out there, right? Tight ends out there, the playmakers on this team. So when the opportunity comes, the guys got to take it. But at the same time, it could change soon, right? Because the Ravens are now starting to get that run game rolling and getting it going, okay? So teams are going to probably start to crowd the line of scrimmage, right? Which is going to open up space for your Batemans, your Zays, guys on the outside. Now, if you throw a guy like Davante Adams into that mix, now you have a team that can answer any question that goes against them, right? Now, one of the biggest things that we've seen from the Ravens, probably in this Lamar Jackson era, is that when the run game doesn't go well in the playoffs, right, will the pass catchers step up and help their quarterback out to elevate the game, right? We really haven't seen that, right? There's really only been one wide receiver that's really helped Lamar Jackson Well, I guess it's really two now because they had a really good game in the playoffs actually. So Zay and then Hollywood Brown as well. Hollywood Brown had a really good game versus the Titans, which kind of gets forgotten because all of the drops the other wide receivers had in that game. So, you know, we've had a couple wide receivers come up in big moments, right? But nothing consistent, right? You get a guy like Davante Adams in the building. That's your consistent guy where, you know, people always bring, well, if it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, do you got a guy that's just going to get you that first down, right? Slant, curl, hitch, whatever it's got to be. You got a guy that you get the ball to in that situation, no matter what, on the outside, right? Because you see too many times in the playoffs that tight ends can be taken away, right? It's easier to take them away in the middle of the field, bracking them, things like that, you know, unless your name's like Travis Kelce, something like that, right? It's easier to take those guys away, right? It's just simple as that. So from a fit, from a need standpoint, I can understand the Ravens going into Davante Adams. I really can, right? Now, the biggest thing and the biggest question is obviously, will they go after Davante Adams? And I just don't see that. Honestly, I don't, all right? Davante Adams, you know, I'm not gonna say he's never been like a diva anyway. He's never been, you know, flat out. Well, I don't know if you watched the receiver series. You know, he wasn't too happy with Jimmy Garoppolo a couple of times. But besides that, right? You know, typical receiver stuff like, you know, he's the open, he wants the ball. Just the way the Ravens passing game is set up right now with the volume, I don't know if it makes sense to bring that kind of guy in, right? I would love to see Davante Adams here. I really would. But it's just the simple fact that I know who is in the front office, right? I know what the head coach is. I just don't see them making that kind of move, right? By the time this video come out, I mean, when I'm doing it today, but, you know, Davante Adams could always be traded to the Jets to play with Aaron Rodgers again. Who knows, right? So, for the Ravens, I think that the want and the need for wide receivers is understandable, right? I thought they were going to draft one high in this year's draft, right? We talked about that. So, but they didn't. So I can't really see them going after Davante Adams. Now, a guy that is a little cheaper, a little bit younger, Cortland Sutton, Denver Broncos, right? I could see that, right? To me, that makes a little bit more sense, right? And he's more fitting into that big body wide receiver that we're kind of looking for, right? Now, Davante Adams is great, right? One of the best receivers of this generation. So, you know, not saying anything against him, right? But when you just factor in age, money, and role he'll play on the team, I'm not sure all those things come together to make sense for a trade to the Ravens, right? If you want to say you bring Cortland Sutton in, who is younger, cheaper, and is going to be willing to do more of the blocking, more of that kind of role, right, and not be worried about the targets, I understand that some more, right? So I'm not shooting down the Ravens' need to bring over a receiver, especially a bigger receiver. I can see that all day long, right? You know, and I would have no issue with that, right? I'm just not sure if Davante Adams is a guy that they're going to target. You know what I mean? And we just got to be completely honest about that, right? So that's my thoughts on it. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that, right? You know, and that's fair, right? You know, we want to see Lamar Jackson play with a, you know, quote-unquote superstar wide receiver, right? I think that Zay has that kind of potential to be that kind of guy. He has to get the opportunities that's not just screen passes and, you know, jet sweeps. You know, they have to let Zay Flowers run real routes down the field and show off that potential, but we're not there yet, right? So I understand you want to get somebody who's ready-made. He's a superstar right now. Get him in the building. Let's go, right? So I get that 100%, right? So, but let me know what you think in the comments, right? Do you think Davante Adams will be a Raven? Do you think there's even a possibility that this will happen, right? So, but, you know, I'm going to get out of here. It's Gabriel, to Fan TV.